I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about my prosthetic. With working in the group you guys are doing, your robotic stuff, I know you guys have talked about some of the stuff and how it works in different parts of our world today. And so for me, a big part of what robotics has done has been able to kind of give me part of my life back from my accident. And so it's been a little bit over a year since I had an accident. I had a motorcycle accident and ended up injuring my leg, and I had to have it amputated all the way up here. So it's cut off about right there above my knee. So we had to, obviously there's a lot of people in the world that have prosthetics, but mine was a little bit unique in the fact that I'm a full-time firefighter, and that's what I do for my job. And there hasn't been any other firefighters in the U.S. that work as a full-time firefighter on a daily job that have an above-the-knee amputation, because when I lose that ability to be able to just bend my knee when I want to, if I just raise it up like that, then it doesn't move. So we had to go to the drawing board, just like you guys do with your robotic stuff, and we had to figure out and go through some problem solving to be able to meet the needs that I needed to do my job. So, like I said, those problems that came was
Grant Durbin, please come to the office. Grant Durbin to the office.
Mobile for one.
Nick Rush, Elise.
The other challenges that we had was the attachment point to make sure that this stayed hooked on, because a lot of people just have what they call a suction fit that is just kind of really just slips on and it fits really snug, kind of like you have slip-on boots or something like that. That's what a lot of them were. But we had to come up with other solutions so that if somebody pulled on my leg in my job in a fire and stuff, or if I'm crawling around on my knees, that it doesn't come off. So that was some of the components that we had to work with. And then we also had to work with the fact that it needed to be able to be rugged enough for me to kind of beat and bang around on it. So some of the prosthetics get people around and they can walk and move around, but they're just not very durable. That if you're real hard on them and like I do for my job and beating and banging and crawling and things like that it can break pieces on it. So they had to find one that was really rugged. So fortunately, through the help of the military, they have created the leg that I have that is really rugged, and it can also withstand being in the dirt and grit and grime, and it is also completely waterproof. But it's computerized to the point that it has a hydraulic valve in it, and that valve is controlled by those computers. So just like when you guys stand up and you stand up like this and your knees, you don't know it, but your brain is telling your knees, that kind of robotic part of your body telling your knees to lock and your muscles to tighten up so that you don't just fall down when you're standing here. Well, now I have to rely on the computers in this leg to sense that I'm standing here and that it locks out that knee so that I don't fall down. So that's, and then as I start to walk, then
Dalton
it knows.
Castor, Alexis Phillips, and Luke Wrigley, please go to the LGI ring. Again,
knows
Dalton Castor,
kind of
Alexis
what I'm doing.
Phillips.
Anybody ever didn't lock, it would just go like this, and it would stay perfectly straight. But since it has those computers in there, and it can read what I'm doing, then every time I take a step, it's able to swing in front of me. Just by the motion that I'm doing, just like you do with that
at the middle school level.
game system.
Triton Central Middle School had 19 gold ratings and 2
So,
silver ratings.
Can you swim?
Great job, students. And
I
thank
can't.
you
This is
for
one of the
representing our
very
schools so well.
few that I
Math
said
ball
is
practice tomorrow
waterproof.
and Thursday.
Most of them are not waterproof. Any of the ones that are computerized that people wear today are not. Most of them are not waterproof. So if I had one of those, I would have to take it off every time I wanted to swim or shower or get in the dirt and grime. But this one is we had to really kind
or
of
before or after school, please.
do all those checks and balances and make sure that it would withstand what I need to do in my life.
For the kids at Head Start in Shelby County. Please bring in
And
new or lightly used.
so I can get in the
children's
water,
books.
I can take a
And
shower
the 2
with
to
it on,
3-year-old
I can get
toddler
in the
range.
ocean, I
This
can
means no chapter books of any kind.
get in the dirt
The
and
books that
grime
Head Start
around the
are
farm
old
at
and worn
home,
out, so they
and
need
then
some
all
new
I have
ones.
to do is take a water hose
Please
and
be a good classmate.
rinse it off.
Or just a good person and bring in.
So
some
that's
children's
one of the
books
fortunate
that you no
things that's
longer
really
need or
different
want.
about mine. I know on their
Wednesday's
poster
breakfast
board
choices
for the STEM
are
kids that
chocolate smoothie,
are
cereal,
talking about
cereal bar,
making a
Pop-Tart,
swim fin
double
for
chocolate chip muffin, fruit and milk.
for
And
people to be
today's
able to
lunch
swim
chicken
and
fajitas,
be able to get to the
spicy
pool.
chicken sandwich,
I'm a little bit different in the
pizza,
fact that I can swim with this one.
toasted ham and Swiss,
But
chicken
I also
Caesar salad wrap, mixed green
am part
salad
of our
cheese,
dive team
beef
on
parfait with
the
granola,
fire department.
veggies and
And
fruits.
one of the problems that I have
You can ask
found
Miss Haley
is
Porter
that
if
when I
she's
put a
working on
fin
something, that'd
on,
be great.
that
That is
it
all of our
doesn't,
announcements for this morning,
doesn't
so please rise and salute the
fit
flag
just
for the Pledge
right.
of
So I have a
Allegiance,
little bit of work to do to adjust that because
I
if
pledge
you,
allegiance to the flag of the United
I forget where is it. But one of the challenges I have just now, we'll get some questions in just a minute, okay? One of the challenges I have as far as a swim fin on this one is that I don't have control of that foot. I can't just bend it when I want to. So it puts that fin in the wrong position to swim. Because if you get in a pool and you kick behind you with your fins, they're usually pointed out. So when I put a fin on this foot, it really is just pointing straight down in the water, so it doesn't do a lot. So in order for me to swim, what I've done for part of that is I just put one fin on, and then I can still swim with this leg and kick with it, but I just leave the fin off of this one because it becomes more of a drag or an anchor, so to speak, than it does being able to propel me when I swim. So that's a few of the things that have helped me as far as the robotics and the computer electronics and robotics that have been integrated into the world of prosthetics for people that have amputations like myself. And then one other challenge we had is for my job as a firefighter, I have to be able to step into my boots. And so again, it's kind of that loss of function of being able to just bend my foot. I don't have that. I have to control it a little bit differently. So when you guys slip your shoes on or put your boots on, you kind of point your toe and slide it into that boot, right? Well, since I can't do that, and you saw me take my shoe off a minute ago, but it takes me a little bit longer to do that. So we have put another one of these legs already in my fire boot, so that all I have to do is step this foot in, and I already have a leg. But in order to do that, we made a disconnect point right here. So I have basically a quick disconnect that when I walk out to the fire truck to take a run, I walk out, I kick my shoe off, I step into my fire boot with this leg, and then I just take this one off and I just throw it over to the side, and I already have another one there, and then I just lock in with this pin, and I can then pull my fire pants up and take the run that I need to take.
Awesome. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's being prepared all around.
That we met, and the other challenge I told you, we had to make sure that it would stay hooked on. And so this part right here that slides up and connects to me is called the socket. And in order to make it stay connected, some people just have one that you step in and it kind of just pushes the air out and just kind of suctions on. And then when you get ready to take it off, you just kind of pull, with maybe 4 or 5 pounds of pressure, and that just pops off on some of them. But for mine, we had to make sure that it was never going to come off, especially in my job. So in order to do that, we made a special connection point that has another pin that keeps it locked on. So I take that pin out in order to take my socket off, and then it also has a ratcheting mechanism that tightens up. So I have these cords that go all the way through here, and when I put this on, then I can tighten that up, and so it just kind of squeezes around my leg in case throughout the day, if it changes or feels, if your shoe gets loose, you untie it and you tie it back a little bit tighter if it comes loose, right? So if mine feels a little bit loose, then I can just tighten that up right there like that. And then when I get ready to take it off, it just loosens up, unlocks and loosens up. So that is all engineered into that to help you get the most natural step as your human body did. So there's a lot of technology that's gone into these over the years, and it's changing daily. By this being the first company to do waterproof legs, there's, I'm sure, other ones that are out there that's probably knocking right on the door and will have them on the market at any point in time, now that they've proven that they have the technology to do so. Anybody else have questions?
So the robotics part, right by like the top of that,
Up here?
would it be like a sensor sensing the other legs like do the same?
There is actually a sensor that plugs in down here in the foot that can sense that pressure. But then those sensors are all, I told you it has computers in it, and you can see this piece right here is the hydraulic valve, and then this plastic piece that you can see on the side, that's one of the sensors, one of the microprocessors that's processing that information rapidly to be able to tell this valve what to do. Just like your brain for your leg is constantly processing everything that you're doing. This is the processors, and there's some other ones in there that you can't see. That's just the one that you can see. It's not hidden, and it's coated in that white plastic in order to make it waterproof. Did you have a question? Go ahead. You were earlier.
Was it hard getting used to your prosthetic?
It was very hard getting used to it. It was kind of like a 2-year-old trying to learn to walk again.
That gray piece looks like a hydraulic that you can adjust.
This piece here?
No, the one near the ankle. No, yeah, that one.
This piece?
Yeah.
This is actually just a round tube. It's just a round tube, and I can adjust that in here, and that's how I can make myself taller. So if I had one on this side, I could be 6 foot tall if I wanted.
Could you take the other black thing off?
This thing?
Yeah.
You want to see how it attaches?
Yeah.
I can show you that.
What's interesting is during our research, we found some of the technology components that you were talking about. Like we did read about how some of them were computerized and trying to link up with nervous systems and getting them to move. So that's really neat to be able to see that.
So there's the pin that actually is like the last locking piece for this to go on. And so this is what I told you is called my socket. It's made out of carbon fiber, so it's a little bit lighter weight because I'm already carrying a bunch of extra weight with all of this piece on. So if that's not one like just that part's not just off the shelf for everybody, because it has to be fit to what the shape of my leg is.
Wow.
So what they did is they put this piece, they put plastic wrap on my leg, and then they put a cast on it. They made a cast, just like they would if you had a broken leg. And they put a cast on the whole thing, and they did it all the way up here. And then we let it dry, and then we slid it off. And that makes a mold of the exact shape of my leg. And so then they take that and they ship it off and have this piece made, and they actually make it into, the first one they made for me was totally clear. It was a thick plastic, and it was clear. And then that way I could slide it on and hook it to myself, but then the doctors could look through the plastic and see where the places were at that didn't fit just right. And he could mark on that, and then they would ship it back off and make a new one. And so they made my first carbon fiber socket, and I wore it for a while, and then we made another one besides that. Since then, this is my second one that we've made. My first one didn't have this extra tightening system in it. But you can see those strings that come all the way back and they wrap around over here, and that's what gives that ability to squeeze that on. So this, you wanted to see that come off. This is actually, there's two pieces here. There's that, this is the one that's a little bit different than everybody else's. I told you it's a suction fit. This little valve right here is just a one-way valve, so it only lets air come out of it. It doesn't let any air go in it. So when I get dressed in the morning, I have to put this first sock on, and then when I put this one on, all of this air in here pushes out that hole right there.
Oh.
And so when it pushes that air out, what happens when you take the air out of something and it's pushed in really tight like that is, and then this piece is just a little sock that seals the top edge of it. It's just like a gasket. It seals up over the top edge of it, and then that locks, so no air can come in this way, and then this valve only lets air go out that side. So then that's what's really connected to my leg. It won't, you guys could all pull on that and just drag me across the floor. It's not gonna come off. So when I do that, then that's when I do the next step of and then I can lock myself right back in. Maybe. And so then I'm all hooked back together. Go ahead.
Underneath that one piece right there, it looks like the black piece that was under that one, it looks like it had tape on it.
I
That's
do.
black. Yeah, I saw it.
I'm held together with glue and tape. That tape, just remember that little piece I told you was a sock that was just like a gasket?
Oh, so
It just keeps that gasket from slipping off since I have to slide it on and off here, it just keeps it in place so that I don't have to redo it every time.
Was it uncomfortable the first couple of times that you wore it?
It was, and it took a while. Like the first day I got this whole setup, I could only wear it for maybe an hour or two because it was real tender on that what was left of my leg. It was real tender, and it was just something new for that. So I could only wear it a little bit at a time, and I had to graduate day by day and week by week to be able to wear it all day. And so now when I get up in the morning, I get up and I'll go to work, and I can wear it for 24 hours now if I need to.
What did it look like before, like, you got your leg? Like when you crashed?
It was really tore up. They tried to fix it, it was broken really bad, but then they couldn't fix it, so we just had to take it off and get a new one.
Does it hurt whenever you put it on in the morning?
No, it just feels different. It takes a few minutes when I put that sock on and slide down in. Sometimes it's real tight in the morning, like it's swollen up a little bit, and it takes a little bit to kind of just settle down into it, and kind of, sometimes if I put it on and I don't get everything just lined up just right, I can usually tell as soon as I stand up. If I stand up and it's not real comfortable, then I can just stop. In the first few steps, I can tell in the morning if I have something turned the wrong way and I have to take it off and kind of start over again.
How does it feel? Like, can you feel it walking, like the other leg?
Yeah, I can feel it through the pressure of this. So when I first started learning how to walk with it, someone asked if it was hard to learn. I would take steps really just kind of like a toddler learning how to walk, where I looked and watched everything I was doing with it. And now I have my muscle memory and my brain has been trained to kind of feel where it's at, even though I can't actually feel the touch down here, but I can feel the motion. If somebody moves it a little bit, I can feel it in transition through this, what's left of my leg up here.
swim, do you just take that black foot piece off and hook it on?
No, I swim just like this. All I do is take my sock off, just like you.
That's a sock.
Oh, look at that.
Gotta put socks on there. You gotta cover up those feet. Does that stink?
No, it's a fuzzy plastic sweat.
It's a plastic.
Plastic sweat. It says it was plastic sweat.